The forces which are in nature are the creative forces. Since they are forces, they act, they have a will of their own, they're eternal. If you combine will and eternity, you've got a God. It's a simple definition. So these are the gods of the pagans. The gods of the pagans are not simply figments of imagination, they are descriptions of phenomena. Every phenomenon is described, one form or another. Some are big, some are small. I'll tell you a very beautiful story from Greek mythology. There is a woman by the name of Demeter, called Ceres in Latin. Ceres, of course, is cereal. Demeter plants and she harvests and she provides food for all humanity. She has a young daughter, pretty young girl by the name of Persephone. While mother is working, she's playing. Well, that's okay. She dances, and she runs in the fields, and she throws flowers around. She's just a happy girl, very pretty and happy. Now there's a guy, and his name in Greek is Hades. In Latin, it's Pluto. Hades is king. He's king of a great big kingdom. But it's a dark kingdom, and it's somehow down below. And Hades is a bachelor, but he wants to get married. But no one wants him. As soon as he approaches someone, they run away. And as he is going around, he sees this gorgeous young Persephone, and he desires her. As soon as he gets close, her mother gets up serious and says, "Don't you dare come close." But one day, when she happens to be bowed down and tilling the ground, he gets into his high-powered chariot, and he just swings by between mother and daughter, grabs the girl, throws her into the back seat, down he goes to his kingdom. And mother starts to cry and scream and sits down and mourns. And as she mourns, the crops die, and people begin to die of hunger. And the assembly of the gods come down and say, "Ceres, Demeter, get to work." She says, "No, as long as my daughter is gone, I don't work. I want my child back." They go down to Hades and they say, "Look, man, mother is not working. You better send her back." He says, "What? I got this gorgeous girl and you want me to give her back? Oh no, I took her, she's mine." They come back and say, "Look, we want to tell you something. If all the people die of hunger because mother ain't working, they're going to fill your place and you're not going to have a place to move. You better make a deal." Well, what do you suggest? "Let her go home to mother 6 months. And we promise that we'll go back to you 6 months. You can live without her for 6 months. You'll be happier. Then she'll come back." They go to mother and they say, "Okay, we'll get your daughter back for half a year, but then she'll have to go back to her husband." So she says, "Well, as long as she's here, I'm working." Now, Persephone comes back. Persephone throws flowers and dances. That's her thing. And mother works and plants and so on. Then Persephone, the time is up, and she has to go back. So mother says, "Okay, daughter, as long as you're gone, I'll just sit here and cry." And she goes back. Now, it's a pretty story. Let's translate the words. Persephone means spring. Spring is flowers. Spring is the blooming. Ceres or Demeter means Mother Earth and creator of cereal or food. Hades is the god of death. When spring comes, then the land flourishes. When the fall comes, crops begin to die and the cold sets in and spring goes down to hell to be with her husband. And so the cycle of the seasons is simply portrayed, simple story. It's a cycle of seasons, but you put it into dramatic form, and then you can put it on the stage and you can set it to music. This is what they did with their phenomena. They're all true stories, but they are dramatized and personified. The phenomena are personified and they're dramatized. But basically, what does it say? The pagan cosmology says the universe is the product of the conflict of the forces of the universe. When they finally reach an equilibrium, the world comes into being. And it's always an equilibrium which has a little bit of imbalance, because sometimes that nasty Boreas is going to say, well, I'm going to sneak in here and give them a shot of snow and cold when their back is turned, but then they gather together and they push him back. So you have the imbalances. We have a universe. Everything is okay, but then you have an earthquake, and then you have a storm, and then you have a cyclone, and then you have a tornado. And a lot of things are happening. We are under the control of these powerful forces, and they brought the universe into being, and we live in it. But remember, we are just really insignificant, and they are the great forces. And basically, they control the world, and they control us. There are other factors, of course, that enter into it, the whole story of the fates and so on. The universe of the pagans, therefore, is a universe which you could say is polypotential, many forces, or polytheistic, if you want to use that word. Many gods, many phenomena which are eternal and which have their own will. So there are many gods. So it becomes polytheistic. And they're not polytheistic and they're not pagan because they're stupid. The pagan writings are the writings of very brilliant people. It's just their theory. They believe that there are many gods that control the universe, and this is what they believe. And they control in many ways, even controlling the individual at times under particular moments and conditions. You read the first chapter of Genesis and you see what the writer has done. He throws the entire concept out, rejects it. To the Genesis cosmologist, there is one force only who creates all the other phenomena, and they all derive from him, from that one creative force. Call him or her, what's the difference? Point is, one phenomena, one power